Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Toon Update. Today I'm talking about the Wolves result, a little bit on the takeover, and a preview ahead of the Everton game. Joining me today is Ian Smith. I'm sure many of you already follow his Newcastle content on YouTube. I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say on the past week of Toon Updates. Should be a good one. So subscribe if you haven't already and enjoy the video. Ian, thanks so much for joining me. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thanks. It's really good to be on your channel. Thanks for inviting me on.
Oh, it's great to have you on. Like I said, I stumbled across your channel through Kyle from Magpie 24/7. When I was on your channel, I was like, this is the kind of content I like. You know, there's obviously a focus on Newcastle, but then generic Premier League stuff as well, which I think is always good. And you're not actually a Geordie, are you? What is your background? Do you live in Yorkshire?
Yeah. So I live in Scarborough. I've been through this a few times. People keep bringing this up because obviously I don't have the accent. I live in Scarborough, and I've lived in Scarborough since I was 4. But basically, it's only because my parents moved for work, and that was the only reason, really. My mum and dad and my whole extended family are all from Newcastle. They still live up there. So it's just where I was brought up. But my entire family are Geordies.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, I was going to say, you must get that question all the time, because I get that question, I guess, as a southerner. But for you, it's a bit more obscure because it's Yorkshire. Are there many Newcastle supporters in your area, actually? When you go and watch games, have you got any company?
To be honest, there's not that many. I know of a few because of my YouTube channel, actually, that I've gotten to know. When I was like a teenager and stuff, and Newcastle were quite good. That was like the mid-90s. There was a lot more than there are now. So it's more everyone's. You get so many Chelsea and Man City, Man United, and Liverpool. People just latch onto those teams.
Oh yeah, big time. I know how you feel. Here, obviously, because I'm in Hertfordshire, so it's not far from North London. Everyone is Spurs, everyone's Arsenal, there's Chelsea. But yeah, we're a minority here for sure. Even, like I said, the children I coach, a lot of them, when I'm wearing my Newcastle kit and stuff or whatever to training, they're like, what team is that? I'm like, oh my God. You have a lot to learn, child. Mid-90s onwards, if you weren't born in that era, then, I mean, I feel sorry for you, because that's when I started becoming a fan as well. But anyways, we have a lot of talking points. So I normally just start with the match at the weekend. So obviously the 1-1 draw against Wolves. Now, I'll be honest, I expected the worst for Wolves. I spoke about this at length in last week's video. Given the performance at Man United, I was pretty pessimistic. And you know, the kind of football that Wolves play, I didn't have high hopes at all. But we got a draw. I feel it was a lucky draw. I do think we responded well to the Jimenez goal. I was over the moon for Jacob Murphy. You know, like, what a way to equalise. A curling ball round the wall. So pleased for him. What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you, really. I think, first of all, the goal was fantastic, wasn't it? I mean, such a clever spot. And actually said after the match, didn't he, that he'd researched the goalkeeper, and he kind of knew that if he got a chance, he could hit into the, and he kind of had done his research and hit it low and hard into the corner, and it caused him trouble, and he got the goal. So that was brilliant. But in the sense of going into the game, I mean, everyone feared the worst on the back of the Man United game. That was just dreadful. And to be perfectly honest with you, I still think, even a few days after the event, I still think it was a bad performance. It was 80 minutes, 85 minutes of just absolute rubbish. And I can accept that with a bit of hindsight and a bit of distance from the game, that we did defend better than I gave credit for in the immediate aftermath of the game. However, I still don't know what Bruce was trying to do in an attacking sense. I didn't understand what the plan was, especially with so many attackers on the field. He was forced to do that, I guess, with the lineup, but there was still. I just still don't understand how we could play so defensively when we had so many attacking players on the pitch.
That's the thing, isn't it? And I agree with what you say. It was a tough watch. And I find myself using the word lucky a lot this season, just because I really think we've been riding a wave, and where we've nicked a point here and there, I've come away in disbelief, because I'm like, oh, okay. Like, for example, the attacking players, like, great. It's a step forward that Steve Bruce actually tried something new. And, you know, that starting lineup, I couldn't get my head around it. I was baffled for about an hour. I was like, what formation are we playing? ASM, Miggy, Murphy, Fraser, Wilson. How is this even going to work out? And we managed to get all of our attacking talent on the field. But the negative side of it is that despite all of that, we weren't a cohesive attacking unit. And that's always been, you know, the biggest criticism of late, given we have the talent, but it's not being utilized in the right way. So then the general narrative continues, you know, like, this is a work in progress. How do you feel about that? How much longer can be a work in progress with the talent we have?
Well, exactly. And I think, you know, he's had over a year to sort of put his mark on that team. He's been backed in the transfer market. You know, I think everyone was pretty happy with the players we brought in this summer, and it improved the squad. And we expected to just see a little bit more, because we've got a proper striker. We've got some better supporting cast around Wilson up front. We've still got the likes of Almiron in there and Saint-Maximin as well. So we expect a little bit more. I don't think that's unreasonable. And yet what we're seeing is the same old rubbish week after week. And you know, I made a video a couple of days ago, and basically my point was, it's all right, these pundits sort of saying to us, Steve Bruce is doing a good job, he's keeping Newcastle in the league, what do you expect? And, you know, what I don't accept is that, as a football fan, it's not just about the points. It's kind of you know, we're invested in this team. We pay money, a lot of money, to follow this team and support this team and watch this team. And part of it is because it's an entertainment product, and we should be being entertained as part of that. And I don't think it's unreasonable for fans to want that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess actual real fans who want to see us develop, evolve, progress, you know, go on to the next chapter. I feel like I spoke about this last week, we're so ready to evolve, and we've really reached that stage. We want to move away from, you know, the defensive style that we were under Rafa. It was effective, it was great, but in the Man United game, that defensive resilience was not there. And yes, we improved in the Wolves game. Defending wise, I definitely saw a vast improvement. I was happy with that. Yeah, we got a point at Molineux, and we're 13th in the table. So I'm not going to complain too much, because on paper, we shouldn't actually be too concerned. But it's more, if we're caring about how our brand of football needs to change, then we can't say we're happy with the way it's going. Yeah,
it's like what is the vision? What are we aiming for here as a club? It's not, I don't care if we finish 13th or 14th. What I care about is, are we trying to progress as a football club? Is Steve Bruce trying to change the way we do things? And it's not happening. And that's why there's so much frustration.
I have to agree. And I think there's a lot of stats as well, which are quite worrying. Like, even the shots conceded, it's actually terrifying.
Yeah. Well, in 2 matches, I think it was the Spurs and Man United game, between them, we conceded 51 shots in those 2 games alone. It's just crazy.
Martin Dubravka obviously came away. He made the most saves in the whole Premier League,
The most
right?
saves, yeah. And Darlow currently is in the lead with the most saves this season. And that is not a coincidence. That is the fact that we invite pressure on, we concede a lot of shots. And the reason is because we never dominate a game. We never have the most possession in a game. I checked through all the games this season so far, and we have not had over 50% possession in any of those games. And we have averaged 40% in the 6 league games so far, which, to be fair, is higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's still not ideal. It's not ideal. And if you were to put these stats alongside where we are right now, I have to say luck again. I have to say Steve Bruce has had it incredibly lucky, because I'm not saying he has no clue what he's doing. What I'm saying is that those tactical skills, the spotlight is on him, the pressure is on him. He's faced criticism the whole time. Obviously, he's been managing us. But to go the extra mile with that void in a coaching sort of an attribute a coach can bring to the table, There's no hiding it. But let's move on to the takeover. Now, I have to make something clear. I am tired and I am mentally drained from talking about the takeover, and I've actually avoided talking about it just in my videos in the past few weeks because
I've done exactly the same.
Yeah,
because I did loads of videos in the summer about the takeover, like almost every other day at one point, and just it's complete fatigue. So yeah, I'm kind of the same as you. I've deliberately avoided, even though there's been news this week, I've deliberately avoided making like new videos about it at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just, it takes a mental strain on you. And I think because of the summer we've had, the ups and downs, and I committed to the fact that it's not going ahead and don't expect anything at all. And even now, like, I take all these takeover rumours with a pinch of salt, but there has been a development this week, and it's quite interesting that actually Mike Ashley is supporting it. So there's a supporters consortium, and they're making a legal challenge to the Premier League. So it's two Newcastle fans. At first I thought, is it Ant and Dec? But no, it's actually two individuals that aren't Ant and Dec. And Mike Ashley has publicly backed them. What do you think about that? Do you think that's an encouraging sign, or have you just sort of lost all hope like me?
Yeah, I mean, I think Mike Ashley's actions speak quite clearly about where he is at the moment, and he is not happy with the Premier League, and so he is putting the boot in at every single opportunity. So it's not a surprise to me that he has come out and supported what these two fans are doing. And I think, to be fair to those fans, it's quite a brave move, you know, to actually take legal action, or it's just the step before official kind of legal action, isn't it? But yeah, I think that it's interesting that Ashley's on board with it, because of course I believe he's still got his own action sort of pending and looking into it as well. So, but he's clearly up for a fight with the Premier League at the moment.
I think it was only this week that he publicly stated he wants the pay-per-view rate to be taken down to $4.95. And even that in itself is like, oh, I mean, this is revenue that would be in his pocket, yet he's taking a stance against the Premier League. Like you said, he's not happy with them. So he's just, it's quite a statement for him to be doing that.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a real opportunism from Ashley, isn't it, with the pay-per-view thing? He's read the mood of the fans and he's just kind of jumped on board that to stick the boot in to the Premier League. It was quite interesting that the statement came from Mike Ashley and not from Newcastle United, and it was a clear attempt from Mike Ashley just to have another go at them. But then you've got to remember, on the other hand, that, you know, and I'm one of these people, Mike Ashley's still taking money from my bank account every month for season tickets. So it's not that Mike Ashley is suddenly like a good guy. It's just that he saw an opportunity to have a go at the Premier League.
Let's look ahead now to the Everton game. So they are currently the league leaders, despite getting their first defeat at the weekend to Southampton, which was quite surprising, to be honest. They are actually without a few key players, which I think is quite promising for us. You know, they didn't have, who was it? There was Richarlison is still on his 3 match, so Newcastle will be his second.
I think we're his last match, actually, because I think he missed.
Fulham, he got it in Liverpool.
Yeah.
Oh yes, Liverpool, which was about 3 weeks ago. So
he's out against us anyway.
Yeah, so he's definitely out against us. And then that Lucas Digne, he got a red card in the Southampton game. So they were actually one man down, but that 3-match ban has been overturned, and now it's going to be a 1-match ban, which actually still means he's out for our game, which is brilliant. And James Rodriguez as well, there's yet to be an update on his injury. He seemed to be struggling in Southampton, so we don't know about that. I guess what I'm concerned about the most is, first and foremost, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, just because the threat he poses, and he's the second highest goal scorer in the whole league. And yes, he didn't score, he didn't get going against Southampton, but I do think they'll be hungry to bounce back and get a win against us. What are your expectations going into the Everton game?
Yeah, I just think it's going to be a really tough game, actually. And I think despite of whatever players end up playing for them, I mean, if Rodriguez is out, then that's a big one, but I suspect he might play, but that's just a bit of a guess, really. I don't really know. I've not seen an injury report on him. But I just think Everton are a different proposition this season to last season. They're much improved. they've got Calvert-Lewin, who is one of the form players of the league. And they're top. They're currently top of the league still, even after losing last week. And I think it's going to be really tough. They have a lot of firepower, and that's going to be interesting to see if our defence can kind of hold up against them. As we know, we've been very weak in defence in a couple of games. The Man United game and Brighton game, we've just kind of collapsed in defence, and that's the worry. Can we have a solid performance defensively? If we can, then we might be okay. But I do think the other thing, when I looked at Everton, is that they do concede goals. So they've conceded 2 goals in each of the last 3 games. So that there are opportunities to kind of get at them at the back. Can Steve Bruce come up with the tactics to allow that to happen? On recent evidence, it's not likely, is it?
Yeah, and speaking of worrying, I saw a really worrying stat actually with what you were saying about our defence. So there's a stat, and it's the PPDA stat, and it's the most passes per defensive action. So it's basically the amount of passes the opposition can make before they're intercepted or tackled or whatever. And out of the whole league, that's the highest rate for Newcastle, and that does concern me, absolutely. With Richarlison in particular, since they signed him like 2 years ago, Everton haven't won a Premier League game without him. And he was visibly missed. In the Southampton game, he was sorely missed. You know, all the match reports said it, that his absence was really felt by the team. And to think that he won't be on the pitch against Newcastle, not only the technical abilities, but the mental aspect of them going into the game without him when he's been such a key player, could work in our favour. I'm not expecting a win here. Like with the Wolves game, not expecting a win at all. It's just, I guess if we just take a step back and we think, okay, so far this season, 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats. You know, if we were to beat Everton, which we're not going to, but let's just say if we were, and we're moving on to 11 points, it would mean that on paper we're actually doing a lot better than it feels. Does that make sense?
It does make, it makes perfect sense. I mean, the performances, it was like last season, the performances didn't warrant the amount of points we ended up with. And that is how it feels at the moment. I mean, look at the Spurs game. We were dreadful and we nicked a point. I mean, we nicked that point like more than any other team has ever stolen a point before. That was just, how did we get a point from that game? Wolves game, not quite as bad as that, but we still were lucky to get a point. So it feels like, you know, we could quite easily be sat here with 4 or 5 defeats and not 2.
I hope we can continue to ride the wave, and I just hope we're able to build and evolve and get that brand of football on us, because we desperately need it. And I just think the pressure Steve Bruce is on to make these changes and to make it work, and also the pressure on the individual players, you know, even the new guys, they're going to want to make it happen. They're going to want to get on the goal tally, whether it's Ryan Fraser has something to prove himself. Callum Wilson, anyways, has made it clear he's here on a mission. He's here to, you know, get double digits potentially. That would be amazing.
You just want to see his beaming smile, don't you? That's all I want to see.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's pretty much it. Ian, thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great.
And like I said, your channel is just full of Newcastle content. So can you just tell new subscribers what they can expect on your channel?
Yeah, sure. I mean, basically, most of my videos are Newcastle United based. Essentially, what I try and do is I try and keep them fairly short and to the point. I kind of, I know when people are on YouTube, it's kind of like they want to just see stuff quickly, and so I try and fill that gap where it's just kind of 5 minutes to 7 minutes long. My videos, they're usually about whatever's going on at Newcastle that week or that time. So obviously there was loads of videos about the takeover in the summer. I occasionally do live streams as well, which are fun and people get involved in that, and I sometimes have guests on and all that sort of stuff. Just loads of stuff. And I do, like you said earlier in the video, I do sometimes try and do some more general Premier League content, and I'm hoping to do more of that as I go forward in the future, actually, and kind of broaden out a little bit too.
Nice. Well, I'm going to leave all the links to Ian's channel in the description below, so do check him out and see all of his content, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week.